The Wes Audio NG Tube EQ. Now, I've just received it a couple of days ago and I've installed it here and it is phenomenally good. Now, if we just literally take sound out of the equation, let's move sound how it sounds over there. I'm going to do a video later on in the week where I'm going to kind of show you exactly how it sounds. In this video, I want to talk about functionality, what it does, what it brings to me, and my review on why I've bought it and why I think it's so good. It is the closest thing on the market in the analog world that is a plug-in, right? This might as well be a plug-in with the sound of hardware. This is heaven. That to me is what we, well, I say we, but I dream of. That sort of flexibility of using an Avid S4 to control this and being able to get hands-on with it. The major thing with it is the door control. So we can control this via the door. We've got plug-in control. We've got USB that goes out into the computer and gives us full control of it. I can use my door controller to control it. I can go onto the actual piece of hardware to control it. That may seem to many people as like, oh yeah, well, you just use the hardware. Yeah, you will majority of the time go to the hardware to do all what you want to do, but you do have a plug-in that can do that as well. So when you turn the plug-in, the hardware moves as well. The good thing about it is, and the main thing this is important for, is the recall aspect. So this is a very intricate EQ. There's a lot that can be done with it. Recalling all those aspects of it by hand, it wouldn't be that easy. That's quite a difficult task. There's a lot going on. The plug-in recall, digital recall on it, will, as you open a session, you'll load the session, the hardware instantly recalls. That to me is heaven. If I had every piece of equipment like that, jumping from session to session to session, and then the whole chain just changes straight away, that's incredible. So yeah, apart from that, there's a lot of cool features that you can do with it. But the reason I love it and the reason I've put it into this chain is because it's not just another EQ. I think I've got about 8 or so EQs in this chain. Do I need another one? No. But this is different. This gives me something that isn't already in the chain. Now, there's a few things it gives me. One of them is really impressive, is the in 5 dB mode. So basically what you can do is you can select 5 dB or 15 dB. General rule of thumb is mastering 5 dB. That just means the gain goes from 0 to 5, 0 to -5. In 15 dB mode, 0 to 15. Mastering, you're never really going to need 15 dB of gain. Mastering, you'll use 5 dB. So that's really good, but that's common in some other units. The good thing about it is the steps in 5 dB mode are 0.08 steps. Now that is unheard of in an analog mastering piece of equipment. All right, you know, that's done in plugins all the time. But in hardware, you're usually set to 0.5 dB steps. Or if you're lucky and you got something that's 0.25 dB steps. Now the reason you like to have this kind of a smaller steps is because you can get a little bit more detailed with that. This has 0.08 dB steps. I think it's something like, yeah, it's 10 steps per dB. Now the reason this is good in mastering is because you can be so detailed. You know, that 0.08 dB might not sound like anything, but it is to a mastering engineer that's really getting in there detailed. That's really good. So having that is really good. The other thing that it brings to my mastering chain is the solo band. Now, if you wanted to do that before, you're in the box. There's no other piece of equipment, no other, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but no other piece of equipment that I know of out the box that solos bands. Now there's some coming, I know that, but there's not currently. This, you can solo the band, find the frequency. You know, like if you're using something like Pro Q3, you hit the headphone listen and you can listen to the band, isolate the band, find a frequency, problematic frequency, and then notch it out. That's what you can do now in the analog world, which is incredible. There's lots of other cool features. There's a really nice feature I loved, was on the output, you've got a clean output and you've got a tube output. So you can pick between which one you want. Clean output obviously sounds very clean. The tube output, wow. When I turned that tube output on, listening to that tube out, oh, it gave me this, I tell you what it was, it gave me this kind of, this feeling down in the belly, if that makes any sense. It really kind of was like this, oh, there was this weight in the low end. There was this really sort of, it's that classic warmth, tube warmth. It was hitting the tubes, really giving it that kind of lovely low end to it. Yeah, I mean, there's a few really cool features as standard. Mid-side, stereo and dual, which is, I mean, what more do you want? It's parameter link as well. You know, it's not often that you get an EQ that has parameter link. You're sitting there on left and right, turning them both at the same time. Parameter link. It's such a well thought out piece of equipment, and it gives me so much more than just another EQ. Like, I could have put any EQ in, but at the end of the day, it's just another EQ with another bit of flavour. Right? It's just another sound. Whereas this is another EQ with another sound, with another flavour, but also brings so much functionality to the mastering chain. As well, is because it has that total recall, I'm able to put it over the mixes as well. So I use it on the mix bus a lot. And the reason I don't use any of the other equipment over the mix bus, and I only use that in mastering, is because with mixing, you're constantly recalling sessions, opening session, jumping session to session to session, and you need that aspect of recall. So yeah, it's special. And look, that's my honest review on it. It is a very, very special EQ that isn't cheap. 5,200, which isn't cheap, but what you're getting is the closest, I would say the closest piece of hardware that is a plug-in. It's hardware, it sounds like hardware, it is a piece of hardware, but it's 90% a plugin. It's 90% there to feeling like a plugin. If you were jumping from, as a plugin user, going to hardware for the first time, and you plug this in and you were like, right, this is my first piece of hardware, this bridges the gap. Because if you're used to using plugins, now you're using hardware, you can use it like a plugin and just use it exactly like you would Pro Q3, and you'll feel like you're using Pro Q3, but you're getting the sound of hardware. It's an exceptional EQ, and that there is my honest review. That I don't think I'll find an EQ that I like more than this in a long time. I hope I'm wrong, but this is one that's gonna take some beating. This is the, if you were planning on buying an EQ, that is the EQ to buy at the moment. That is the EQ that is leaps and bounds ahead of every other EQ. It sounds fantastic. It has so many features, and yeah, it's very fairly priced at 5,200. It's a high-end mastering EQ that can obviously also be used vocals, dual mono, vocal in one side, I don't know, whatever, guitar in the other side, whatever you want. it's quality. Love it.